Hi everyone. So this video is about physical activity and sport in the UK, and this revision will be largely discussing the trends in this country. So what sports are more popular than others, and also what is the differences between different groups. We'll also touch on emerging sports as well. So first of all, let's talk about current trends. Sport England is an organisation which carries out surveys pretty much every year. Interestingly, it's found out in March 2018, just 61.8% of people will do 150 minutes, just over 2.5 hours, so 2.5 hours of physical activity per week. And sort of shockingly, a quarter of people do less than 30 minutes activity per week. So there is a significant minority of people in this country who do not do enough exercise during the week. So a quarter of people do not do enough exercise during the week. So that is a big issue, and that is something that needs to be addressed by organisations like Sport England, who have a remit to try to introduce strategies to raise the numbers of people participating in sport and reduce this figure so it goes below a quarter of the population. Popular sports in this country. Now, people often, or students often, get confused with this because we automatically think of the sports that we do in PE and think that which are the most popular in school. That doesn't correlate necessarily with what we see in the general population. So you can see that the most popular activities are non-competitive recreational activities. So for example, walking, fitness activities, for example, going to the gym or going cycling or swimming, are all the most popular forms of physical activity. Remember, it says sports here, but we're actually talking about physical activity. So the most popular sport, if you like, is football, but it is by no means the most popular overall. So if you get a question asking you to pick out the most popular physical activity or the most popular sport, always look for the cycling, swimming, walking, or the gym activity. That will be the answer. It is not football, cricket, rugby, netball. All right, football is popular, but rugby in the grand scheme of things isn't, and cricket certainly isn't either. Netball certainly isn't either. We have differences in activity levels between different groups, and this goes back to the user groups that we talked about in previous video. So disability, all right, 43% of disabled people are inactive. Compare that to 25% of the general population. So almost double the chances of being inactive if you are disabled. So therefore, Sport England will be looking to try and introduce initiatives to reduce this percentage so we have more people active as disabled people. Also, there is a big difference in age. Inactivity increases with age. Okay, so the older you get, the less active you get. There are various reasons for that. We become less fit, our bodies start to kind of reduce in strength and capacity, but also we have jobs, we have families, so we have less spare time or less income to be able to take part in physical activities, and that goes back to some of the barriers we talked about in previous videos. There's also a big difference between genders. So not necessarily, but the difference in activity. So you can see here, 24% of males are inactive, 27% of women are inactive. However, women find sort of the more recreational activities more popular, as men likely to go for general sports. So there is a difference in gender, even if you don't necessarily see that difference in the percentages. So now we move on to the last bit, which is new and emerging sports. You could be asked a question to describe the factors that affect emerging sports. And then for that, you will have to go back to the video that I did previously on the factors that affect the popularity of a sport, and think carefully about which ones of those would apply to emerging sports. Things like media coverage and provision of facilities and the success of athletes will have an impact on the popularity of those sports. Things like ultimate frisbee have been used in the past as examples in exam questions, girls rugby, futsal, and potentially you could have something to do with the fitness injury like HIIT training, which is becoming more popular. And you could talk there about the impact, positive impact there would be environment and climate, because it's done in science, affected by the climate. You could also talk about the number of facilities that are now being built that can be accessed by people. You could talk about social media and the media coverage, so it's easy to see users doing fit sessions on Instagram or on YouTube. You could talk about role models, so there's lots of advertising, and particularly aimed at women who are taking part in HIIT training sessions, and we see them in the media, and they are good role models for us to look up to. So that's how you would attack a question on new and emerging sports. Okay, here's a question for you on this topic, and it is about emerging sports. This time it's American football. Suggest 4 ways that American football could be made more popular in the UK. Pause the video, have a go at that. Here's the answers or the mark scheme. Give yourself a mark out of 4, but also, as always, make a note of any other answers which you didn't include. There were 14 points there you could have been awarded. You would have possibly put 4. What are the other 10 that you could have used? Okay. End of video. See you.